Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk, NFTs, Crypto, and Web3. I'm your host, Asia the Bird. To have a very special guest with us today, he's an NFT Cubist artist. Please welcome Gabe Weis. Hello, Gabe. Welcome to the show.
How are you? Great to be here. I've been called worse than Gabe Weis. It's Gabe Weis.
Oh, oh, Weis. I'm sorry.
All good. I like it.
Yeah. It's great to meet you and to have you here on the show. So I want to go ahead and ask you, where are you originally from and how'd you get started in the world of art?
So I'm from Ohio and Illinois, and then went to school, University of Wisconsin. So kind of like a Midwestern mutt, but been out in California for like 23 years, I guess. So a hot minute, and I feel like a California boy. I'm in the Bay Area, but originally from the Midwest, and been doing art for most of my life.
That's really, really cool. Now, I want to get into like your favorite artists. Like, who are like your favorite artists that you looked up to, like growing up, or as of recently?
So the obvious ones are like I would say Picasso, Basquiat, Keith Haring, Francis Bacon. Those four probably jump out to me the most as things that just kind of artists that just really inspired me to create kind of how I do. So some of my work is very clean lines, and I feel like that's more like Picasso. And then sometimes I like to get kind of dirtier and I think a little bit more fun, and then that's the Basquiat stuff. So yeah. I would say Basquiat and Picasso are my two biggest influences, but my guess is they're most artists right now's biggest influences, whether or not they know it or not.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm inspired by Basquiat and Keith Haring. Like, just their art style is so unique. I love, like, with Jean-Michel Basquiat, like his work is very, very loose, but it talked about a lot of social issues, especially where he's from. And also, like with Keith Haring, same thing with him, like his bold line making, like his bold colors. And, he talked about different issues during, the time he was alive. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, Basquiat, I think, gave artists today the biggest favor in the world of like making it okay to kind of be loose and really put your emotions out there and talk about big things in your work. I just can't think of any other artist that kind of just like handed like a generation like almost like a new art form practically. So it's like yeah, pretty revolutionary.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into like your art style. So did you start off traditionally? Because I know Pablo Picasso, he started traditional and eventually had his own style with Cubism, which is an art movement, one of the most prominent art movements in the art world. So did you start traditionally and then into Cubism? Like, what was your whole evolution in terms of your art?
So I had I took like AP art in high school, and kind of I could draw things like very, very realistic, but it just didn't do a whole lot for me. My art teacher at the time was like pretty famous artist also, and he did super realistic stuff, and I was like, I'm never going to be as good as him. And he's like kind of making it, but still it has to be a high school art teacher making it, and he's like mind-blowingly good, so it's like maybe that isn't going to be where I should put all my eggs in the basket. And then in college, I had some pretty intense experiences with hallucinogens that really kind of opened my mind into kind of the art that I create now. Had some experiences with mescaline that made me kind of develop a little bit of the style. And then about 6-7 years ago, some experiences with ayahuasca that I also think really helped shape the work.
Wow, that's very interesting. Now, you describe your work as a stream of consciousness meets Cubism. What does that mean to you?
So I think of my art as kind of like jazz. Like Miles Davis picks up any horn and he's going to be able to make something that you'd want to listen to, or John Coltrane or something, just like and like I don't give it a lot of thought, but it kind of all is in this family of my previous work. but it's just like really trying to let it flow out, kind of like it is jazz, and you're just like kind of grooving to a something will work, kind of, but it's also,
Right.
it'll be unique and different just because of the way you're doing it. So that's kind of what stream of consciousness meets cubism is all about to me.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Now, what is your whole process in terms of creating like a cubist style work of art for you? Like in terms of like the color palettes, like do you start off with a sketch? Do you start like come with a color palette? Like what is like your whole process of creating a work of art?
So I really love to use these like Japanese graffiti markers and putting it right on the canvas, because it
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't, like, there's no second guesses. It's like feels like a tight wire act, like you gotta hit on every line that you do. So it just increases the stakes a little bit. um that said, I think a lot of my pieces start where I use the graffiti marker. If the lines are perfect and clean, then I just leave it like that.
Right.
If they're not, then I maybe will paint on it. And then if I don't like that, then I'll kind of make it like looser, like the Basquiat style. If I
Right.
still don't like it, then I'll make it a collage and like add a bunch of stuff on top, like magazines and paint. So like
Mm-hmm.
a lot, I guess I view it as like you can't mess up too bad on a painting. Like there's always stuff you can add kind of on top, especially with my process. Like it's not oil or anything, so stuff's drying quickly. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, every piece starts like it's gonna be like pristine, and then probably 3/4 of them end up as wild, crazy collages or
Mm-hmm.
looser styles or whatnot.
Yeah. Like for me, like I have to start with a sketch because usually I used to like be like free flowing, but I have to sketch my stuff out nowadays. Like
Yeah.
for me, it's like, I'm into like characters, I'm abstract. So my like style has evolved like over the years because I started getting into art like really in second grade, but I took it serious down to like my 10th grade year in high school. So, and that's when like I got into nails and things like that. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's really, really cool how, process of how you work can evolve and it can change. So what would you consider to be like your favorite like art materials, to use, like, whether it's markers, paints, whatever it is?
I really use it all. I mean, I've gotten really into digital work lately. A lot of my NFTs start as physicals, and I love graffiti markers. I love acrylic paint,
Mhm.
pastels. Um, those are probably the three that I use the most. But like, I love playing with crayons and
Mhm.
colored pencils, and like, um, got some wax crayons, like
Mhm.
Chinese wax crayons. Like, I don't know. I'm equal opportunity when it comes to what I like. And then I think the next fun part this year is like I just started getting into digital work about a year ago. And so
Mhm.
now after I have like a painting, I can like add some like there's some colors that like I'm a paint junkie. I probably own thousands of tubes of paint, but there's certain colors you just can't get to.
Right.
Like there's like internet blue just does not exist no matter how
Right.
like how good a paint you buy, it doesn't matter. You just can't get that color.
Yeah, right. Now, in terms of getting started with like digital work, like what program have you started to like get into, like Procreate or Illustrator? What's like the program that you're using?
The two that I use the most are Procreate. That's probably my number one, but there's one called Art Set that I really like a lot.
Hmm.
Um, that's like makes things look a little bit more realistic, like a painting. The Procreate's maybe like a little bit more intuitive.
Hmm.
So they're both pretty phenomenal, especially given the price tag of like $10.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Procreate is pretty popular. Same thing with like the Adobe Suite. Like everybody uses the Adobe Suite. Like I use like
Mm.
Illustrator. There's like another program that I use. It's called Affinity Designer, and you pay like $50. It's just that one-time payment, and you got it like for the rest of your life. So I use like
What is it called?
Affinity Designer.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe you have
So
to send me a text after this. I'll buy
but
it.
yeah, but it's a good vector program and it's a cheaper alternative to Illustrator. But the thing is, what I don't like about vector programs is that sometimes when you work with like your art, like you doing like art on like the program, it'll freeze. That's the thing I don't like with vector programs. It gets on my nerves.
I can't say I've ever done any vector programming. I'm a little bit more loose and loosey goosey. So I the nice thing about how good my year has been as far as selling NFTs is like now I feel like I can go to like digital art college or something, like ready to learn a lot more.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, what got you started into NFTs?
I had like a pretty wild experience with a friend. Had kind of a vision of becoming a famous artist, and then the next day, Micah Johnson sold like some NFTs for like 1.3 million, and it just came up on my Apple news feed, and I was like, "What is this magic crypto art thing?" And then my buddy Eddie Gangland had asked me, he's pretty famous in the NFT space, but he had asked me for collabs for like a year or two, and we just hadn't been able to make it happen. And then when I saw him post on Instagram like his first NFT, and I was like, hey, that collab you want to do, let's do it as an NFT. And then like he got me on to kind of, he didn't get me on, but he was telling me like everybody on NFTs is on Clubhouse. And so I just started living on the Clubhouse app. And like, I feel like between mid-February last year and like April 1st, I feel like I got like a doctorate in NFTs by just like spending 20 hours a day, like those 6-7 weeks was like absurd.
Yeah. I'm on Clubhouse too, and I've been learning about NFTs, so I'm slowly learning them as I go. And it's crazy, like it's so much that goes into NFTs, like from the crypto wallets to like how to sell an NFT collection and things like that. So I definitely want to get into the NFT collections. So what has been your whole process and your experience of selling like your own NFT collections?
I mean, I think early on, an NFT collector talked to me about like demand is your friend. So I pretty much just go one at a time, wait till everything usually sells out usually pretty quickly, and then I'll wait and then drop another thing. I think a lot of artists, they tell the story on the blockchain that like you can get their work anytime, it's always available. And like it's way better to tell the story on the blockchain of my work sells out really quickly and then people always make money on my work. So I think for me, it's like pricing collections. I usually do about 55 to 70% of what it's worth right then. So that if someone wants, usually there's a couple flippers in the first day or two and they make their money, and then other people hold because they're like, well, apparently it's worth it's worth more than I paid, I might as well hold it, type of thing. And I think that what people don't tell you is like the blockchain is, I mean, a lot of what I feel like you're doing is like telling a story through the blockchain about how you're going to make people money. I mean, art matters obviously, but there's literally probably a billion great artists on the planet. That's not what necessarily matters when it comes to NFTs as much as like, are you going to be consistent? Like I had one of my collectors say, like, I was like, why do you collect so much of my work? And he's like, don't take this bad, but I just like, I see your hustle, like you're a hustler. I was like, what does that mean? I was like, he's like, in the best way possible, but it's just like, you're on Twitter, you're on Clubhouse, you're doing Twitter spaces, you go to all the events. And I think like the more your collectors see that you're not just like a flash in the pan, or you're just going to leave if the market has a dip or whatever, then you're telling the story of like, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to make you money, just be patient.
Right, exactly. Now, in terms of the NFT events, So what has been your experience going to these different NFT events, and what are some like the friendships that were made while you were going to these different NFT events, especially like in person?
So this coming up weekend will be a 1 year anniversary of like the first NFT show that I think maybe even happened practically because of the pandemic and stuff. And so we had a show in LA where tons of us met and had a great weekend kind of partying together. I've gone to so many. I think I've been a partner on something called Party Animal Speakeasy Society. We just threw a party for NFT LA. That was like my favorite party that I've ever been to within NFTs. Cause like, as you're probably aware, I mean, NFTs, there's just so many white guys in NFTs. Like,
Right.
I'm a white guy. We're not all bad, but like, it's not necessarily the parties that I want to be a part of my whole life. So I
Right.
think NFTs as a culture needs to do a lot more like onboarding people of color and getting more women into the space, more LGBTQ. I mean, I just think what I've the party animals was like the most diverse party I've ever been to practically. And it's just like, that's what I'm trying to bring into the space. So, I mean, the parties have been fun. I've met some people that will be lifelong friends from it. But I think I come from the Bay Area. I mean, in the Bay Area, did community organizing and politics the last 20 years. So I just am not used to so many just white guy parties like out the wazoo, but like I think it can improve, but some of it is intentionality. So that's some of the fun of the Party Animal Speakeasy Society, is like kind of curating a community of people we actually want to hang out with and party with.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I like how you're about inclusivity within the NFT space, because I'm the same way, like providing information for people who want to get into NFTs and Web3 and crypto, and also in the metaverse. And the thing is too, like I'm about, inclusivity as well, especially within the beauty industry. And that's the field that I'm in. So like NFTs are not as well known in the beauty industry as is with the art side, with the world of art. So, I think it's definitely vital to have different walks of life being included in the space.
Could not agree more. And I think you will see that slowly, but right now just have some work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in terms of with NFTs and also with tokenization, what is an NFT and tokenization? Like for someone who doesn't know what those are and how it applies, together.
Oof, that's a hard question. I'm not the most technical guy. I would just say I think it's digital ownership is just the best way to think about it. It's like you can build communities around it. You can do anything that you build into this kind of smart contract. And that could just be one image, but that can also be an image that changes due to XYZ. I mean, like it's pretty infinite what can happen with an NFT, but the simplest way is like a smart contract verified on the blockchain.
Now, I also have a question in terms of like, utility, because I know people talk about NFTs and utility. So how can an NFT be used like as a utility? Possibly.
So for Party Animals Speakeasy Society, it like gets you into our parties, for example. You don't have to, once you own the NFT, you're not paying extra to go to the party. So I think a lot of it is just about like benefits for a small group of people. So like that's been happening for years. It's like Soho House, like there's all these things where people kind of country clubs, like whatever, where people kind of pay for access to certain groups or certain events or certain special art or people have paid for Patreons and then they get like access to like certain prints that they don't if they're not on the Patreon. So I think in some ways it doesn't change what's been happening other than kind of creating a very neat clean kind of mechanism for like providing kind of fun things to do.
Mhm. Yeah, that's very interesting because like I see like these popular collections with like laid back llamas, especially Bored Apes. Like Bored Apes is like the hot NFT collection right now, and they sell for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you have like these different types of like ape designs, and people go to like parties and events and things like that. So it's crazy how like these NFT collections have gotten so popular.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty wild. I've been a Bored Ape this year, and it's a fun little ride. I think I will just say like these things have existed though for a while, and I think they
Mhm.
just let you into kind of. I mean, there's no other group that I'm in with Justin Bieber and Madonna and Eminem and
Mhm.
Steph Curry. Like I
Right.
can't think of one where like we're all in a group together.
Mhm.
So like I just think it's unique opportunities for community building and maybe networking.
Mhm. Yeah, most definitely. Now, in terms with selling NFTs, what is your whole take in terms of pricing and selling an NFT?
So I kind of spoke on it earlier, but price it to sell and then
Mhm.
don't have a ton of inventory at any given time. Like
Mhm.
really push and hustle for that one that you have, and then worst case scenario you can like gift, if not every, like if you do an edition of 5 and you sell 3 and then you have to gift 2 away
Mhm.
um to friends or whatever, like there's worse
Right.
things than that. But if you have like some people, I look at their collections and they have 45 different NFTs available, and that just tells me that there isn't really a market for it.
Mhm.
and and then like I'm like, well, I don't need to buy this, maybe I'll buy it in a week or two. But like you want
Mhm.
people to think like I gotta buy this right now,
Mhm.
or I'm gonna lose my opportunity.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now I want to get into one of like your NFT collection collaborations. It was with your work and Nyla Hayes's Long Neckies. So what was that whole experience like, collaborating with her?
So not technically a collaboration, just a derivative project.
Okay.
So but when she came out with Long Necky Ladies, I'd been in rooms with her for many months on Clubhouse. So like I came in and I had bought a bunch of Long Necky Ladies like already. I just wanted to support. Um, and then Bored Apes had come out and they were giving derivative rights, and I'd made some money selling derivatives of my Bored Ape. So I was
Mhm.
like, I think like her work and my work just go well together.
Mhm.
And so I asked if they were going to offer it, and they first said no, that they
Mhm.
weren't going to do derivative rights. And then a week or two later, they came back to me and they're like, actually, we are going to do it. And they were nice. And because I was the first to ask them, they were nice enough to tell me the exact time that they were going to
Mhm.
release those rights. And so they sent out the thing like the rights are released, and I already had one ready to go within the first
Mhm.
10 minutes.
Right.
Um, so I was the very first derivative of the Nyla collection. I'm very friendly with her mom and her, and we've had phone calls. But like, when I think of collaboration, I was literally just using my Long Necky Ladies that she had already made, which is not different than a collaboration, but it's
Right.
it's a little different in that like instead of giving half away like I do
Mhm.
in a collaboration, this is a little different. But
Mhm.
um it was pretty magical little like 10-day run. I don't know if you saw it, but like I was doing 50s of them, and they were selling out in seconds.
Wow.
And then like went really high for a little bit. So I made like almost like $100,000 in like a week selling the Long Nicky Lady derivatives, which was
Wow.
like, or more than, no, it was 100 ETH. Like I did like 100 ETH volume roughly. So I
Mhm.
guess that's like 300,000.
Wow. That's crazy.
otherwise known, otherwise known as a magical week. Yeah.
Wow, that's absolutely crazy. Now, in terms of like the platforms to sell NFTs, what would you consider to be like the best platforms for someone to sell NFTs?
I mean, I think Super Rare and Nifty Gateway are two of like, if you can get into those two. I'm also on Coinbase, which I think eventually will be pretty large for artists. But I've had most of my success on Opensea. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's still where most people's eyes are. And so I would always recommend Opensea.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes down to like, selling an NFT, is there like a certain size, for the NFT when you like go ahead and post like on OpenSea or Coinbase, or they don't have a specific size specifically for the NFT?
There's like a limit on how big, but I mean, I would just go big because I mean, what's going to happen soon? Like, there's already good screens, but I think you're going to see in the next 10 years like just a huge amount of screen upgrades for NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
And you want, if someone's going to make it like a wall of their house, like a huge wall, you
Right.
want it to be able to blow up and look good. So I don't know. I just try to err on the side of like a large image.
Mm-hmm.
And also like I definitely have people who've asked for the image, like a bigger version
Mm-hmm.
than what I can put up on the blockchain. And so I'll send them like a huge file of an image if they want to do something crazy with it.
Oh, that's really, really cool. Now I want to get into in terms back to the marketing a little bit. So you use Twitter to promote like your NFTs. Would you consider Twitter to be like the best, platform to really promote NFTs? Also, what are like some other best platforms of social media that they can promote their NFTs besides Twitter?
Twitter, Instagram, then Discord, Telegram. Those probably four are where
Mhm.
the vast majority. I've heard Reddit a little bit. I've never used it, but
Mhm.
I would say 99% is Twitter. Like
Okay.
I didn't even, I think I had 6 followers when I started NFTs on Twitter and they were all bots. Uh, so like I mean, and now I have about 26,000. So, I mean, you can see in the last year and a half, I've definitely put in work to try to get a Twitter following.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Now I want to ask your perspective of the metaverse and Web3. Like, what is your whole take in terms of the metaverse as well as Web3?
I don't know if we know yet. I think life is so subjective. I think like some people think of it as almost like dystopian, like a bunch of people sitting at their home, not going outside. But like my experience on the pandemic from the pandemic side and being on Clubhouse and now having so many close friendships from it, I mean, that was essentially the metaverse. If we had
Mhm.
instead had like avatars and then been like maybe in some like 3D room together or something,
Right.
like that wouldn't have like made the experience any worse for me or anything. Like so I just think it's not going to be for everyone and it doesn't
Right.
need to be for everyone,
Mhm.
but for some people it's going to be some of their most enjoyable experiences in life. So like I think just trying not to, I
Mhm.
think it, I guess it's just like not having value judgments on it and understanding that digital ownership is a thing that's here to stay. Like my kids are 7 and 9 and they like they when they ask me for money, almost always it's for something in like Minecraft or something. Like they're rarely asking me for money for like physical things. So
Right.
like I think for I'm 41 and I think I'm like right on the cusp of the people that really understand digital ownership. If you're older than me, like I think those folks will always kind of have
Mhm.
a little bit of a challenge. I mean, there's some amazing older people in NFTs for sure that
Mhm.
totally get it, but I do think it's for people my kids' age, they're gonna just grow up and digital ownership is just gonna be a part of their life throughout.
Mhm.
And so it's only just gonna get easier and easier and easier to onboard people.
Mhm. Yeah, I could definitely agree because like we're slowly getting more digital and digital and digital. And considering like with the metaverse and like where that's going, especially like the central land, like you have people buying land and getting married in the metaverse. And it's also crazy, like people are also doing like fashion as wearables, like people are getting into wearables. And it's absolutely amazing to see like where NFTs have been going, like whether it's 3D or 2D. So the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. I mean, it's all exciting and it's
Mhm.
new. And I mean, I don't think we really have a great sense of it. Like, I
Right.
know Facebook and Instagram are getting in. Imagine like maybe NFTs start looking instead of like mine that some have gone for $30,000 or something.
Right.
Like it's like maybe they're $3, but you sell it to 100,000 people,
Right.
and it's like gets to put like an AR filter of one of my paintings on your
Mhm.
face on Instagram, and people are just buying like a $3 NFT. I mean, I don't think I'm just saying like it's gonna change so much over the next decade. It's just gonna be a fun ride to be a part of.
Right.
But but I wouldn't also put all my eggs in one basket in this
Right.
space because I've like it's changed immensely in the year and a half I've been in, and I can't. 3 years from now, it's probably gonna be like a whole new, brand new space.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember like playing like The Sims, getting into another like virtual like online game called Friendzone. And that was like a virtual thing where you create a character, you can make clothes, makeup, and stuff like that. You got IMVU, you got Second Life. So like the metaverse is diving into that type of realm, like where these virtual platforms were like created, and they're making like more of like a advanced, type of world. So it's really crazy. You can create your own worlds. But yeah, I could definitely understand like you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket because you still, it's still reality. So you still have to have like a realistic need. There has to be a realistic need and service, for the real world.
Yeah, but it's all. I mean, not saying don't go all in when you're in a project. Like
Right.
go for it, but like understand you might need to adapt. And that's going to be the nature of technology probably for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, right. Like it's gonna get more and more advanced over time. So that's the thing.
Yeah, yeah. Get in the mix. Get your hands dirty.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, what is your whole take in terms of the evolution of art and especially like where it's going?
I, to be honest, I have no idea. I think it's like maybe it looks like these like virtual worlds that you can create. Maybe it looks like um, stuff you wear. I mean, I would say limitless, but also like I don't have a great sense. I'm game to try new things, and
Mhm.
I just want my art viewed by as many people as humanly possible. So
Mhm.
that's why I'm into the space because like I mean I think more people have seen my work this last year than the previous 40 years combined.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Now, is there anything that you would like to see within the NFT world?
More diversity, more women. Um, I think just it'd be nice if we could get rid of anything around the environment where like you just didn't ever have to defend it. So like
Right.
just more environmentally friendly, but it's not like a I also think that that's just used against it. And there's a million things like wearing a t-shirt is worse for the environment than NFTs or whatever. So like,
Right.
I think I, it's not an argument I take super seriously when people make it, but I would love to just be able to say like they're 99.9% green type of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And plus this whole space is still brand new. So, hopefully, years down the road, it can get more and more and more inclusive. So I absolutely agree with that. Now I want to get into in terms of with success. How would you define success in your perspective?
I mean, so I did politics for the last 20 years and just painted on the side, but like success to me was just getting better at my craft every day.
Mhm.
Um, So this is the very first time since September where I've been a full-time artist, and we're like need art sales in order to like feed my kids type of thing. Not
Right.
really. I mean, my wife has a job. Like I made a lot of money this year. It's not like they'll, if I don't make a sale, they go hungry right away. But
Right.
prior, I'm kind of, I probably give old man advice on this, but like I kind of think it's way better to make art where you're not worried about sales. You just see like way too many people that make like stuff for like vacationers on the beach or whatever, or like, or are you just like one thing looks good and sells well, and then maybe your new experimental stuff doesn't, but then you end
Right.
up just making like something that looks exactly the same over and over again. So I would just say like get into the place where you're not really needing art sales to survive. I mean, well, not saying don't go for it, but just to say
Right.
like unless you, I mean, you know, that said, if you can live in like rural Ohio and have no expenses, like go for it. I just happen to live in like the most expensive place in the country and have a couple kids, so like I've always needed like a relatively high salary to support everyone.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Make, enjoy what you're doing, make your art, and the money will come last. And that's the thing. And I've been looking at Ali Saba's work, and I know you have like a relationship with him, and like his, work is absolutely really, really cool, very abstract, very colorful. I love his line work, and it's really cool to see like everybody is different. Every artist has their different style. So that's what I really love, with this community. This community is getting involved in NFTs, and it'll slowly get bigger. So that's really, really cool. So yeah, make a product
Make
and
make sure make sure you reach out and tell him I did an interview, and then he'll do. The amount of stuff he's gotten me into this year is absurd. Like he's like probably like, I mean, he's been like my best friend of the last year. Like
wow.
mentor, really super nice guy, but we just talk NFTs and like just a good human. But I've gotten turned on to so many things. Like I talked to Sabit, he says like I need to talk to you. So I'm gonna put that in for him. He's got to do this podcast with you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And I messaged him a while ago. I know he's been really, really busy, but his work is absolutely incredible. It's absolutely cool.
Yeah, he's great, and he's so diverse. Like he can do kind of 20 different styles.
Yeah, yeah. Also like Eddie Ganglin, like his stuff is really cool. I love how he does like the skulls and everything like that. So that's really cool too.
Yeah, those are, you name my two probably closest friends in the space. Just spent the weekend with last weekend in Vegas with Eddie. Tore up the town.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's really, really cool. So now, like, what's next for you? Like, is there any like further like future like NFT collections you're working on? Like, what's next for you?
So I'm doing my own PFP project. I've been spending the last like 5-6 months on it. It's called the Stoics. It's pretty awesome. I'm the art's pretty much done now. Has some really fun, unique utilities with it, and I'm pretty giddy about it. It stinks that it happened during this kind of downturn in the market, so now I'm going to wait a little bit. I had planned on releasing it around this time, and now I'm like, let's wait till it doesn't feel like a bloodbath out there. Yeah, so that's my big thing. But I have a drop with Nifty Gateway coming up. I'm a featured artist on Coinbase. I'm doing a drop with them for NFT NYC. I'm doing some I have some work up in Cannes right now for the Cannes Film Festival that I'm really excited about. Yeah, there's a lot of things, juggling lots of things at the moment, but it's like hard to say. Like it hasn't been absurdly fun.
Yeah, yeah, that's really, really cool. Last but not least, where can people find you on social media, and how can people support your work in NFTs?
So in Opensea, the collection is art by Gabe Weis is my main collection. So buy my NFTs, obviously. www.gabeweis.com is my website that has links to NFTs, some physical pieces, some prints. Instagram is Gabe_Weiss. And then Twitter is Gabriel J. Weiss. I think I did Gabe Weis a long time ago and then like couldn't figure out the passcode. So I'm like, gotta start a new one. So it stinks that I don't have just regular Gabe Weis on Twitter, but I'm not restarting. So I had to put so much time this last year on Twitter to get it up to 26 or 27,000 or whatever it is.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Well, thank you so much, Gabe, for jumping onto the show. Your work is absolutely incredible. I love your knowledge and your story. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you so much.
Really, really appreciate you. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully get to interview Eddie and Sabit. You can say Gabe sent me.
All right, will do. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also follow me on my social media platforms and visit my website, asiaticbird.com, and be on the lookout for more interviews involving Web3, NFTs, crypto, and the metaverse.